How's it going, YouTube? It's your boy Rect, and today I'm making a balanced Druid PvP guide. And in this guide I'm just going to go over what the normal talents are, what the honor talents are, what I'm choosing, what's preferred to be chosen in what PvP situation you're in. PvP in terms of 2v2, 3v3, world PvP, random battlegrounds, rated battlegrounds, and so on and so forth. So hope you enjoy this video, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and subscribe for more content if you are a new viewer. Cheers. Alright, so first off, the specialization is balance, of course. It's got Lunar Strike, Moonfire, Starfall, Stunfire, Star Surge, and Solar Wrath. These are the bread and butter of balanced druids. So talent wise, tier 15, I'm going for Warrior of Elune, because this gives you to instant cast Lunar Strikes, 45-second cooldown. I don't see anything wrong with that. That's really good for burst, really good for controlled pressure. It's just on demand and you have it there every 45 seconds. It's better than Force of Nature and Star-Lord, and this works in pretty much all PvP situations, 2v2s, 3v3s, world PvP, and RBGs. Tier 15, my favorite is Displacer Beast, because this undoubtedly helps with the balanced druid's mobility so much, which we're kind of lacking as much this expansion, so Displacer Beast is pretty good. Tier 45, I go for Restoration Affinity, because this gives balanced druid the traditional hybrid spec playstyle, the self-healing, because it gives you your Sur's Gift, Rejuvenation and Regrowth, and Swift Mend on top of that, so that really helps our balanced druid in that sense. As for tier 60, this is all up to personal preference, depending on the situation and your playstyle. You can either go for Mighty Bash for stun, Mass Entangle for the roots, Typhoon for the knockback, so it's all personal preference. I usually switch between Mighty Bash and Mass Entangle. I sometimes use Typhoon when I'm playing rated battlegrounds or just ordinary battlegrounds where it can blow people off the cliff, or just to push melee off me. As for tier 75, the default talent that I normally choose, that most people choose, is Incarnation, Chosen of Elune, because this is on a 3-minute cooldown, so it gives you 35% increased damage to all your abilities, and your Lunar Strikes and Solar Wrath generate 50% additional Astral Power. So if you tie that in with Warrior of Elune, you already have a heck of a lot of Astral Power generated, so that's pretty good. I sometimes play around with Soul of the Forest, because what this does is it gives you a bonus 15% damage from the Solar Empowerment and Lunar Empowerment, and reduces the cost of Starfall by 10. So this is if I want to have, I'd say, consistent damage or spread damage in RBGs, and it's not that bad, because if you choose that, you still have Celestial Alignment as your quote-unquote Incarnation burst, but it's on a 15-second window as compared to it being 30 seconds, but you still get a 30% damage buff, whereas Incarnation is 35%, and it all depends on what situation you're playing in. So Incarnations by default. Stellar Flare is alright if you're going for a rot build, because this is an extra ability that just deals damage, and it's a 1.2 second cast, it's pretty short, and it deals a significant amount of damage over 25 seconds. And Starfall also helps out with Stellar Flare. And for tier 90, I go for Astral Communion, simply because it's a 1.3 minute cooldown, generates a heck of a lot of Astral Power, 75 Astral Power, which just falls in perfectly with Burst with Incarnation, Warrior of Elune, all those good setups. Shooting Stars is alright, but it's nothing compared to Astral Communion, and Blessings of Ancients in PvP doesn't really seem that relevant, so tier 90, Astral Communion is the best choice. And for tier 100, I go for Stellar Drift, because I normally run world PvP and battlegrounds and rated battlegrounds, so this is good for AoE, because this pretty much buffs your Starfall. Increases the radius by 30% and the damage by 20%. So when you've got Incarnation up, you've got Astral Communion up, you've got Warrior of Elune up, you can just pretty much pump out about 3 Starfalls in a row with all that burst running, and that's the main thing that I choose. Or if you're going for more of a dot build, I'd say Nature Balance paired with maybe Stellar Drift, Stellar Flare, if you're not really worried about Incarnation, but Stellar Drift is the best to go. Few Overloom doesn't really work that well in PvP because your target has to be stationary in one position, then you burn them down, but Stellar Drift is the way to go. So that's it for the ordinary talents. Right, so as for the honor talents, this is where majority of the changes have happened for patch 7.1. First row, I'm still going for Gladiator's Medallion. All the talents in the first row are the same. Gladiator's Medallion, 2-minute Freedom Trinket, Adaptation, Relentless. I choose Gladiator's Medallion. As for the second row, the talents here are still the same. Still got Train of Thought, Mind Quickness, Initiation. I normally run Initiation. I might start running Mind Quickness because my haste is a bit low because I don't have the correct gear in slot right now. Train of Thought is good if you know you're not going to be trained, but that's not always the case. It all depends on your group and how you play as an individual, but I go for Initiation just for that on-demand initial burst when I'm targeting someone that's pretty high health. For the third row, this is where the changes have happened. Iron Feather Armor. I'm absolutely happy that this has been introduced. Moonkin Form gets an additional 50% armor and reduces the chance to be critically hit by melee attacks by 20%. This is perfect. This brings us at a default without the artifact weapon of 250 armor, which with the artifact weapon, if you choose, let's say, this bottom rank up down there, which increases the armor by 75%, so 250 plus 75 is 325 armor. 325% armor in PvP. That's just amazing. I felt that I really needed that because I felt a bit too squishy in the past, and the critical strike chance reduction is amazing. Protector of the Groove. This is also good. Using Regrowth on an ally always critically heals and reduces the cast time of the Regrowth by 50%. By the way, we can cast Regrowth in Moonkin form. That's another amazing buff that we've gotten. Celestial Guardian makes Bear form actually viable. This actually really helps Moonkins if you know you're going to be trained, especially in 2v2s. I'd say go, if you're running with a healer, Celestial Guardian plus Guardian Affinity. That's just going to be an amazing combination. You pretty much be tankier than most of the other characters out there. So I choose Iron for the armor for most situations. Fourth tier, still some more changes here. Crescent Burn still stays the same. Moonfire deals 35 additional damage as direct damage if you spam it on somebody that already has Moonfire. Celestial Downpour, this I like because this helps out in the RBG situations or large scale PvP like world PvP. Increases the duration of Starfall by 20%. That's amazing. Goes well. Stellar Drift. Eclipse is actually pretty good. Reduces the cooldown of Celestial Alignment by 60%. So that's if you're not running with Incarnation. Makes you have that that burst on demand. So it's actually good because it helps. It actually helps Soul Force to be a bit more viable than Incarnation. So that's a pretty handy change to have. So I go for Celestial Downpour by default, but I might change it depending on my situation. For the fifth roll, Prickling Thorns still remains the same. Damage taken when your Entangling Roots is dispelled. Dying Stars makes your dot spec, your Moonfire and Sunfire, generate Astral Power when they're dispelled, so most targets will try not to dispel them in that sense. Moonkin Aura is amazing because this really helps support your team in generating, in buffing up your team really. It gives you more crit, 15% crit for 12 seconds, and this also affects you. So in RBGs you'll be really needed in group fights. Moonkins are going to be so needed for that extra edge for your team to have more damage pumped out versus the other team. So Moonkin Aura is actually very important. And for the sixth tier, I absolutely love these changes. Cyclone, Steel Cyclone, it's always been the same. I like it. Deep Roots, damage no longer cancels your Entangling Roots. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. This actually makes prickling thorns viable, deep roots and prickling thorns, and yeah, it just makes Moonkins kite a lot better from melee especially. Fairy Swarm, we've got a disarm. I'm yet to use this. I'm actually quite excited, especially when I see a warrior's bursting me down. He's got his all his cooldowns popped. Just spam Fairy Swarm on him. 30-second cooldown. That's amazing. I absolutely love that. But I'm yet to use these other two. I by default go for Cyclone unless I'm in a specific situation. So that's it for all the honor talents. I'm currently prestige rank 1. This is the talent setup I'm running with, but again, it's all subject to change according to what PvP situation I'm in. Okay, moving on to the spells, nothing much has changed. You still have all your shape shift forms, cat, bear, stag. You still have your bark skin, you still have your healing touch, you still have your displace beast, which is your talent, you still have Lunar Strike, Solar Wrath, and now the main difference is you've got Moonfire and Sunfire as two separate dots. And the main change that I've really enjoyed is the artifact ability. And this artifact ability is a 3-charge ability. It's got New Moon, Half Moon, and Full Moon all on 15-second recharge timer. And each and every single one of those abilities increases in damage. And also increases in cast time as well. I think that's amazing that they've implemented this in Balanced Druid's rotation, because this makes you play Balanced Druid a lot smarter and really actually think on what ability to use depending on what situation you're currently in. Okay, so when it comes down to your rotation, there isn't much of a rotation in PvP, but this is just a rule of thumbs that you need to follow. Start off with dotting your targets. Moonfire, Sunfire. Moonfire, Sunfire. Make sure that's up on all your targets. That really helps with your DPS. Then, after you've put up all your Moonfires and Sunfires, you're gonna have a fair bit of Astral Power. And what you do now is activate your Burst, use your Astral Communion, Starfall the place, use your Warrior Balloon, Lunar Strike, Starfall again, and dot down your ability, artifact ability, and you can Full Moon, Starfall again. That's the general gist of it. If you were running with, instead of Incarnation and you run in Soul of the Forest, you would have been able to pump out 3 Starfalls in a row without stopping and casting, because Starfall costs 10 less Astral Power, and you're gonna be able to have enough Astral Power to burn through it. Yeah, so when you burst it down, all you do now is just your general rotation, keep the dots up, use your artifact ability. Your artifact ability is the best ability for you to use to generate Astral Power. Star Surge, of course, if your Astral Communion is up, Warrior Balloon is up. Use where necessary. This is all single target rotation. Star Surge. Make sure you've got your empowerments up. Make sure not to overlap your empowerments. If you've got 3 stacks, use your empowerments. Use your Lunar Strike, use your Solar Wrath, unless you really cannot use them. And after that, the only thing I can talk about is kiting. The main thing with Balanced Druids is you either stun your target, you root your target, or you just line of sight them by blinking away using your mobility. Line of sight your target, come back out, do damage, run back out, use your bear form, which is a bit more tankier, and yeah, that's pretty much all you can do as a Balanced Druid. Just keep in mind, we're not as tanky as we were in the past, because the main thing that has happened is our Moonkin form used to be over, I think it used to be over 300% armor, and without the artifact trait, it's actually 200% armor. So we're actually fairly squishy compared to what we were in the past. But finally, this is what my artifact build looks like. I went the wrong way. You should actually go from when you start there, then go there, go up the top, so that you get all these other damage and abilities out. But I went down the bottom, and finally working my way up. So that's pretty much my balanced Druid PvP guide. And any other things I can point out is just make sure you're on top of all your class order hall items. Make sure you get all the slots unlocked, and make sure you get artifact knowledge, because this is going to help you with farming your artifact power, which is a bit of a pain. So hope you've enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, just subscribe for more content. I bring out a lot of balanced Druid PvP videos, and it really helps to see positive feedback from my viewers. See ya.